Enjoy again and again.
Hey, this is
How about some Super Bowl picks, guys? I'm going to throw this one out there first. I'm going to take Oakland and Tampa Bay. It'll be the Super Bowl Gruden Bowl. I got to tell you, it's not.
You're the man.
It's fun to pick it week one, but it's haunted me everywhere you go. People want to know, what about 2003? I'm going last. I'm going to let Bruce Smith back with us here. No. You get first pick here.
Well, for obvious reasons, I'm going to pick the Washington Redskins.
I know the other team then is going to be
and,
the Bills.
I won't give you a definitive answer, but I think I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins, and the Bills may have a shot. They have quite a bit of talent down there as well.
Well, we hope we'll see you in Houston.
Well,
all right, Boomer, you're next up.
I'm thinking about teams that have good backup quarterbacks that could make it happen through the season. Exactly what happened to Miami last year. Exactly what happened to the Jets this year. I like the Rams and Kurt Warner and Mark Bulger. And in the other side, I'm going to go with the Colts.
Are you really? Are you really?
I'm going with Peyton Manning.
You went with him last year. Okay, good.
I like it.
I like it a lot.
Well, as far as the Super Bowl is concerned, I think it's going to be an all-Florida Super Bowl. I think Miami really improved themselves. All-Florida Super Bowl. I think Miami really improved themselves in the offseason. A lot of free agency. They're going to get better, especially with Ricky Williams and Tampa. I think they'll repeat.
All right, Dion, you're up.
Hey, Dan took my picks. I left my notes around somewhere. I'm tired of this.
Should have told me ahead of time.
I tell you what, I like Miami because Norv Turner's going to do wonders with this offense, and I like Tampa. Man, come on, man.
Can't we get along, Dion? Come on,
ready
man.
for this, Boomer?
Yes.
They're right over my shoulder. It's going to be Tampa. Gruden will not allow them to have a letdown. And I'm with you, my friend. It's going to be Indianapolis in the weakest division in the NFL. They've got Jacksonville twice, Houston twice. Tony Dungy last year with the Gruden Bowl.
Yep.
The Dungy defense is coming on. It's going to be the Dungy Bowl this year as he takes on his old team, Tampa Bay and Indianapolis. Hey, Bruce, thank you, my friend. Good to have you with us. It is game time on the NFL today. For Dan Dion and Boomer, Jim Nance, thanks for being with us. We'll see you at halftime here on CBS.
And welcome to sunny Cincinnati, where today on this opening Sunday the Broncos meet the Bengals. Don Cricky with Steve Tasker. The times they are a-changing again in Cincinnati. A new coach, they tell us a new attitude, but will it equate to a new one-loss record?
Well, they've practiced differently this offseason. They've prepared differently. They brought in different leadership. But this is the most important opening day in franchise in 12 years. And Marvin Lewis told us yesterday it is crucial that his players see some positive results from the hard work they put in. And the fear is, Don, around Cincinnati, if they don't see those results, this team could tank it again this year.
We'll be coming back to Paul Brown Stadium in a moment after these messages and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Of the National Football League on CBS Sports, home of Super Bowl 38.
And welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium on this opening Sunday as the Broncos are ready to meet the Bengals. Hello again, everyone. Don Cricky with Steve Tasker. The new coach of the Bengals, Marv Lewis, has everyone really thrilled in Cincinnati. The attitude has changed, we're told. And so has it in Denver, where they think that Jake Plummer, Steve, is a guy that can lead them to great places. We'll see.
Well, this is a team that had a top-flight offense a year ago, a top-flight running game. They had a top-flight defense and did not go to the playoffs. They needed a leader and an identity offensively, and the Broncos fans and the organization want, hope, need, and expect Jake Plummer to be that guy, and today we'll find out if he is.
Well, the team has embraced him. They really like Jake. They think he's the guy. We'll find out. The anthem and the kickoff are coming up next. Welcome back, and right now let's go to public address announcer Tom Kinder.
And now, please join Cincinnati firefighter John Winfrey in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in it, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
A wonderful anthem delivered by a Cincinnati firefighter. And now the fire of competition ready to be fanned as it's the Broncos and the Bengals meeting for the first time since that historic day in 2000. Historic for Corey Dillon, not for the Broncos, as we look at the weather, about as perfect as it gets. Temperature 72 degrees, humidity not really a factor. Wind isn't either, and the forecast is for clear sunny weather. So it all looks good in Cincinnati on this opening day.
Done for the first time in Bengals history, they're wearing black on black, as Mike Shanahan probably walked onto the field and said, you know, who are those guys? And this is a guy that brought Jake Plummer in to be the leader, the emotional leader, and the guy that takes this team to the next level. They haven't been in the playoffs in a couple of years. That is unusual for this stellar franchise.
Mike Shanahan, a guy who's done a lot of winning, but his team has not been to the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. Very un-Shanahan-like. And Marvin Lewis, one of the renowned defensive coordinators in the NFL, at the Ravens Super Bowl championship team, then with the Redskins, and now the head man for the first time in his career. As we're ready to kick it off, and Mike and Nor will kick off for the Broncos. A very good deep kickoff man, one of the best in the league. Fourth-year player out of Utah State. The new uniforms, black on black with the striped helmets, and here's a high spinning kick. It'll carry down to the 7-yard line, where Brandon Bennett, one of the AFC's best return men, rockets out to about the 24-yard line. So the Broncos come down hitting with Keith Burns leading the way. As we look at John Kitna, ready to quarterback the Cincinnati Bengals. Getting in his 7th year out of Central Washington. He says the attitude has been changed. He said we're right where we need to be to start this season. That's what he told us on Friday. If we look at his blockers, right tackle Willie Anderson has a big job today. He'll be blocking Trevor Price, the outstanding pass rusher for Denver. First down, first play of this new season for the Broncos and the Bengals. And they go to Corey Dillon, a man who ripped the Broncos for that record 278 yards the last time these two teams played, an NFL record for one-game rushing. We look at the defensive line. Trevor Price, a guy to watch, a tremendous rusher. He's been to 4 straight Pro Bowls. Some adjustments in the defensive line because of injuries. Al Wilson, a terrific middle linebacker from Tennessee. John Kitna says he calls him the ringleader of a great defense. Delta O'Neal at right corner is a guy to watch. And here's Corey Dillon running hard into the right side of the Bronco defense. Ian Gold takes him down, but he's close to a first down. It'll bring up 3rd and short, 3rd and about a yard.
As they get started here, Don, the Bengals know that Corey Dillon is a guy that you're going to get the football to all season. The Broncos know it. You get 9.5 yards on 2 first and second down runs. That's exactly what the Bengals want to do. And these are the kind of results, Don, that a fragile team needs to have.
Let's watch here, Steve, with those linebackers shoot the gap to try to stop a run by Dillon on 3rd and short. This is Dillon turning it up, turning it ahead, and the Broncos do indeed shoot their linebackers and make the stop. The linesman comes in, and it's going to be, it looks like it's just short of it.
When you get a team like this, Don, with a history like the Bengals have, the Broncos say one thing: let's shut the door early and make them quit. The Bengals have had a reputation for that, particularly early in the season. Last year, they completely fell apart in opening day, and that's what the Broncos want to do. They want to put the nail in the coffin early and see if this team will quit.
Now the punt as the Bengals come up short on 4th and a yard, and here's the punt downfield. And the Broncos get good field position out to their 40 as Delta O'Neal runs the ball back. Now Jake Plummer ready to make his first regular season start as a Denver Bronco in his 7th year out of Arizona State, a guy who signed in the offseason a 6-year, $40 million contract with the Broncos because his coach, Mike Shanahan, thinks he's the guy that can do it, can lead them back to Super Bowl glory. Jake himself said in the offseason, I have yet to prove I'm a consistent winner. As a starter with the Cardinals, he was 30 wins, 52 losses, but he didn't have this surrounding cast or this coaching. And now they go to reverse on 1st down, and the very fast Ashley Lee turns the corner and runs ahead for 13 yards. And a 1st down for the Broncos.
Watch here, this is Ashley Lee, a guy who has just really shined here in the preseason. Everybody who's watched him play say, yeah, he may have a few things to learn, but this is a guy who has a bright future. He is an incredible athlete. And Don, when you talk about incredible athletes in the NFL and you have your peers saying that about you, you are truly something special because it takes a lot to impress the guys on an NFL roster.
Well, he had 35 catches as a rookie, 2 for touchdowns, as you know, Steve. They expect him to at least double that production this year. And now to the run go the Broncos with their great young runner, Clinton Portis. And he doesn't get much, just across the line of scrimmage. It'll be at the 47-yard line, 2nd down and really about 10. So we look at the Broncos on defense. The right end, a very good pass rusher. And Justin Smith, the new middle linebackers, the Kevin Hardy, an 8-year veteran, a Pro Bowler in the past with Jacksonville. And Torrey James, who started for the Broncos in one of their Super Bowl victories.
Well, Marvin Lewis brought a number of veterans on with playoff experience, Don. It's no question he's trying to change the attitude and the expectations in that locker room.
And he cut a lot of guys that they didn't think were going to be cut. Now they go to the run, and Portis turns the corner. So the Broncos come out with very good offensive precision, excellent blocking, and a 10-yard run by Clinton Portis. It was a kind of a remarkable story in that he got stronger in the December games last year, even though his weight was in the 190s. Over the last 5 games, he averaged 6.5 yards a carry.
This is a guy that he gave them a top-flight run game. Look at that rookie season. I mean, you just don't find that. That's why it's amazing when you look at the years statistically the Broncos had last year, they did not make the playoffs.
Well, they plan to make him this year, and now Jake ready to throw his first pass. Here comes the rush. It's a screen pass to Portis. Running in the open field. He is hit hard at the 32. He will be about 4 yards short of a 1st down, which will bring up 2nd and 4. 6-yard gain on the play, and outside linebacker Adrian Ross is the man who makes the stop.
You know, we spoke to Mike Shanahan yesterday, and he said, you know, is Jake Plummer everything you thought he would? And he says he's everything I expected and more. The guy really enjoys playing football. He likes being at the office, and I'll tell you what, Don, he's going to like being at the office in Denver a lot more than he did in Arizona.
Well, he's never had this cast around him with the coaching he's going to get from Shanahan and Kubiak. Now let's see what he does on 2nd down. He fakes the draw, good play faker, takes a look, makes a throw to an open receiver, and it's Shannon Sharp, the best tight end perhaps that's ever played the position. And he's inside the 10-yard line for a 23-yard gain, but there is a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage, and holding is called against the Broncos. It comes back.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 74 of the offense, 10 yards, repeat 2nd down.
That's Ephraim Salam on that penalty, and Jake Plummer, I mean, for the early going, he has looked very sharp. And you know, you and I have alluded to it already, Don. Jake Plummer never played on a team like this. And this is a team that has high expectations offensively. They've got a lot of veterans around him, guys who have played in this offense for a number of years, particularly at the wide receiver spot. You look at Ed McCaffrey and Rod Smith. These are guys not only that can be in the right spot, but help him in his adjustment to this offense. Jake Plummer, I think, if he can stay in the pocket, is going to be sensational.
Well, he said everything about the organization. The big difference from there in the Cardinals is that everything about the Broncos organization is positive. And he does indeed have guys around him who've won Super Bowls. Here's a slip screen out to Rod Smith. And on a 2nd down and 15 play from the 41-yard line, Rod Smith is inside the 35 for an 8-yard gain.
Now you talk about Jake Plummer, and everybody knows that he's an athlete. He likes to get out of the pocket. And a moment ago I said, you know, if he can stay in the pocket, he'll be great. Well, he's great when he gets out of the pocket. But ultimately, he's going to have to get in the pocket and stay there. And Mike Shanahan said something that was surprising. When he was in college, he was a pocket passer. If he can do that again here with the Broncos, this team is going to be very good.
Well, Jake says it's fun. He told us it's fun to be out of the pocket. And he's now taking a deep drop in the pocket. Lets a long ball go, an open receiver, and the ball is separated on a hard hit by Torrey James, the ex-Bronco, as he pops Shannon Sharp.
That was just a little bit of miscommunication by Jake Plummer and Shannon Sharp. Jake had to hang on to the ball a hair longer. Shannon Sharp had to turn the corner out flatter towards the line of scrimmage in the sideline before he let it go. You see here, he thinks Shannon Sharp's going to take a touchdown angle. Shannon does the right thing and cuts in front of the defensive back, but the ball was already gone.
Terrific play, though, by Torrey James, breaking it up, and now a 51-yard field goal. It is driven up and down, and it is good. And so the Broncos, on a 51-yard field goal by one of the great kickers in the game, Jason Elam, take a 3-0 lead. Elam comes off, and we come back to Cincinnati. Welcome back to Cincinnati. We're on a 7-play, 27-yard drive. It's culminated by a 51-yard field goal by Elam. And now you see Jake on the sideline talking to Steve Berline. I spent with Steve this morning for about a half hour, and he really likes Jake Plummer. He says the team has embraced him. He said he's starting to realize he's in a really good system here, and it's going to be easier to win than it was in Arizona, as the kickoff return by Brandon Bennett is taken across the 20, and he works himself to the 23-yard line. We'll be coming back to Cincinnati after this word with the Broncos in the lead 3-0.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. Proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 38. The next Ford F-150, it's here. And by Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light.
We're back, and there's Marvin Lewis, who tries to end a long play-out drought here in Cincinnati. David Shula, Bruce Kozla, Dick LeBeau, all were head coaches during the dreadful 90s.
All right, you going the way?
And that's been the playoffs since 1990 of the Bengals. And now a handoff, and Corey Dillon takes on some tacklers, and he gets ahead for about a 5-yard gain. Middlebacker Al Wilson, who was here in this field when Dillon ripped the Broncos for the 278 yards.
Don, you and I did that game, and what an amazing game that was. He had 22 carries on the day. 9 of them were for 1 yard or less.
Yeah, but he averaged for the day 12.6 yards a carry.
Wow. It was almost supernatural the way that game played out.
It was for Dillon. He's a guy that loves to take on tacklers, and here's a blitz. They pick it up nicely, a throw and a catch, a beautifully executed play as the Bengals pick up the blitz. A 13-yard gain to Chad Johnson, who's coming off an almost 1,200-yard receiving year a season ago.
Yeah, he did that 1,200 yards in the last 11 games of the season. He only had 5 catches in the first 5 games, and then he just exploded. Once John Kitna took over last year as starting quarterback, this offense began to take strides into what it could be a very good team. But Chad Johnson is a huge part of what they're going to try and do.
Yeah, he caught 69 last year, averaged 17 yards a catch, and here is Dillon again. But this time the Broncos are ready for him. And Dillon, who loves contact.
And Corey Dillon, you asked him yesterday, Don, what was his favorite play? And he had an interesting answer right up the middle. And you see here, this is what happened that day 2-3 years ago. And this was a 65-yard run in the fourth quarter. And that was the moment when we found out that he broke the great Walter Payton's rushing record. And what a day it was.
But not for the Broncos. How well they remember it. Here is a big defensive play by the Broncos as they slap the ball back, coming at the ball. Darius Holland got a piece of it, number 90, who's starting today for Dorset Davis.
You see there, Don, this is some of the Bengals. And John Kitna, they're a little bit in the same situation that the Broncos were in last year. The Broncos had a good running game, had an excellent defense, but their quarterback was inconsistent. John Kitna is not inconsistent, but he's steady. And once in a while, you need your quarterback to make great plays. And John Kitna has not been able to do that consistently.
Well, he gets time now, lofts the ball downfield, and it is not close, but a penalty marker comes in. It will be a first down for the Bengals. As it is ruled, there was an infraction committed against Peter Warwick. So a penalty brings the ball over the midfield line and into Bronco territory.
John Kitna has brought a steadying influence here, mostly to these young receivers. This is Peter Warwick here. This is starting his fourth year after being very high pick in the draft. You see there, maybe overdoing it a little. I don't know if anybody threw him to the ground or if he just went down trying to draw the penalty, but it was a good play. I didn't think it was that much of a penalty.
It was a 13-yard penalty, and now they studied a lot of film, Steve, of that last time they played the Bengals, because the gaps that Corey Dillon cut back through for all those yards, they're not there today.
Yeah, one of the things that happened in that game a few years ago was that the Denver Broncos over-pursued, and Corey Dillon would stop and cut back against the grain, and there was nobody behind the play to stop him. Plus, Corey Dillon, and you and I sat and talked with him, and the first thing we noticed is, man, he's big. This guy breaks a lot of tackles. If the first guy doesn't make the tackle, he's going to run a while.
Yeah, I said, what's your favorite play? He said, up the middle. He said, occasionally we'll run something wide, but I like it up the middle, right at people. And now Kitna's on the run, and John Kitna gets inside the 40-yard line, and so on the second down and almost 9, he gains 6. In the preseason, the Bengals had the #1 offense in the NFL, but they had the worst turnover ratio. They turned the ball over 11 times.
Well, one of the things about the Bengals is last year they really missed the boat in not starting John Kitna from the very beginning. This is a guy that knows how to manage an offense. He may not be physically gifted or do all those spectacular things that some of the other quarterbacks can do, but he will not make a huge mistake. Once in a while, he'll do something that will give his team a chance to win. He's a smart, headsy quarterback, and that's what they needed last year and didn't get.
Well, he's been under the Radkowski system for 6 years. Here's the throw and a catch and a fumbled ball. They're going to rule him down. Officials are running with the play. No, they're ruling him down. It's not a live ball. A lot of guys getting some exercise. Nope, it's coming back. So Lenny Wall, starting his first NFL game, thought he had 6, but the Bengals are now down there waving him back, saying Lenny was a good rehearsal.
And you'll watch this as Chad Johnson coming across. He's going to catch this, and watch, he's going to go down, and the ball will pop out after he's down. There, he's down right there, and the ball pops out. That's classic that the ground caused a fumble. It doesn't matter that he caught it in the air. It's all irrelevant. Chad Johnson was down. It was an excellent call by the officials and a little extra running work for Lenny Walls.
Shouldn't a guy have to hold the ball, though, Steve, after he hits the ground?
Well, it used to be that way, but now, because of the fact that, well, actually, I'll tell you what, Don, it was the instant replay rule that did that. It changed everything. And now the officials, they had to cut it close because, remember, in the old days, they were down by contact, and the ball would pop out, and they said, well, we called him down, and the whistle hadn't blown, and there was all kinds of confusion around plays just to that time. So they just took it all out, said if he goes down and it comes out after he goes down or because of the ground, it doesn't count.
So it is a first down. Getting against time again. Takes a look. He overthrows a wide open Peter Warwick. A total quarterback error. Warwick was running free by 10 yards inside the 15-yard line.
John Kitna just missed it. Absolutely missed it. This is Warwick right there on the outside, and he's going to take off and go right up towards the numbers on the far side and watch where the ball goes. He's got no chance. I mean, it barely even gets into the picture, and you can see the disgust. And, man, you work all off season. You put a play like that in, you hope you have the guts to call it, and when you do, you hope you can pull the trigger on it, and then something like that happens. That's frustrating.
Well, they'll be calling it again before long, as now it's 2nd down and 10 for the Bengals. Handoff, and Dillon, the stutter step does no good, as coming to make the strike is John Mobley. Head coach Marvin Lewis of the Bengals said every team is now using the Tampa Bay blueprint on defense. Won a Super Bowl, and he said John Mobley is their Derek Brooks on Denver. He said he gets it.
And you noticed right there, I mean, he's tackling probably one of the elite runners in all the National Football League, and he did it by himself in the open field. Great defenses make tackles. I mean, it sounds simple, Don, but if the first guy to the ball makes the tackle, you've got a top 5 defense, period.
How you going this way?
Well, if they don't convert this and where the ball is positioned, Steve, it would be about a 51-yard field goal. The Bengals kicking game, unlike that of the Broncos, is an adventure. Getting the looks. Rolling out, he's going to get hit. He throws the ball, and it's almost intercepted, incomplete. So it will be 4th down at the 33-yard line. And will they send out their field goal kicker? They have a new one. They seem to always have a new one here. Shane Graham, who hit 73% of his field goals during his previous years with the Bills, briefly, and with Carolina, is their field goal kicker. Right now, they're keeping the regular offense on the field.
Well, if you want to see how Marvin Lewis is going to change things in Cincinnati, this may be it.
I'd run the underneath pattern to Warwick again. He was uncovered the last time.
And I'll tell you what, in years past, Don, this was a Corey Dillon run. Believe it or not, 4th and 11. They hand it off to him.
Here's a blitz. Here's a throw and a catch, and running down inside the 30 and well short of the first down is tight end Matt Schobel. So they get yards, but not nearly enough on 4th down, and the Broncos take over the ball on downs. Denver in the lead 3-0. We'll be back to Paul Brown Stadium in a moment. Talk about a better surrounding cast. They didn't call on Graham to try the long field goal for Elam when they set him up from 51 yards out. They have total confidence, and he hit one earlier to open the scoring in this game. Now they pass in 4th down, don't get there, and now they run. Do the Broncos with Clinton Portis running hard, and he crosses the 30 out to the 33. There is the holder who had so many problems in the preseason. Their long snapper, Brad St. Louis, a tight end, they think is as good a long snapper as there is in football. But Harris just couldn't catch the ball.
Don, it was the ugliest thing I've ever seen in special teams in the preseason, and it was the last preseason game. I mean, they had 3 times where they couldn't even get the ball teed up to kick it, let alone see if the guy could do it.
Some Bronco fans may remember, Steve, that Nick Harris was originally a draft choice of the Broncos. Now on 2nd down and 4. Jake Plummer from an open backfield takes a look. Here comes the rush. He makes a connection for a 1st down as Portis comes out. This brilliantly conceived Denver offense. And Jake the Snake is certainly looking very comfortable in it as he hits Portis for a 13-yard gain.
Well, that's exactly what you want to do with Jake Plummer. Just give him a chance to stand in the pocket. You notice, Don, one of the things I think may surprise some people, he hasn't ran right or left. He hasn't tucked the ball and gone away. At this point, if he was in Arizona, he's already got 15, 20 yards rushing. And right now, look at his numbers, 3 for 4 for 27 yards. That's exactly what Mike Shanahan is looking for.
Mike wants him to stay within the system because the system works. He's got people who've won Super Bowls around him. Here's another screen pass to Portis. And again, he breaks it this time to about midfield, a short gain. Well, he's going to end up with about 5. Brian Simmons runs him out of bounds.
The reason this short passing game is working so well for the Broncos is because of Ed McCaffrey, Rod Smith, and Ashley Lilly. They've got 3 of the best, most dangerous wide receivers in the league. The linebackers and defensive backs do nothing but watch where those guys go. Clinton Portis just slips out of the backfield on a screen pass, and there's nobody there. I mean, these linebackers and defensive backs are so worried about this trio of wide receivers, they're not thinking about this short passing game.
Short passing game has been the difference as the Broncos lead at 3-0. Here's a blitz, and they go to the run and fighting for yardage and coming up just short. It'll bring up 3rd down and 2. Is Clinton Portis, the 2nd-year back out of Miami of Florida, a 2nd-round draft choice in 02, a guy who averaged an NFL best 5.51 yards a carry as a rookie.
I mean, that guy can play, Don. And if you got a rookie, if you got one of those rotisserie leagues or a fantasy league, Clinton Portis may be your MVP. And there's Gary Kubiak. It's interesting, too. The Broncos have 2 really good offensive minds. Gary Kubiak, who you see is upstairs, and, of course, the head coach, Mike Shanahan. These 2 guys put together, you've got an offensive staff with just 2 guys.
And now we've got a big play. 3rd down and about 2 yards to go for the 1st down. Jake rolling out. Here comes the rush with Jake Plummer. He throws downfield, and the ball is blocked away. A big play by the Bengal defense is again coming up to make it. was Mark Roman, one of the safeties, who's been around the ball.
One of the things that happened here, Don, Jake Plummer rolled out, but he rolled too deep. The ball took too long to get there, and it took him too long to get his shoulder squared up to the line of scrimmage to find Shannon Sharp. He should have hit Shannon Sharp with that pass just at the numbers instead of out to the sidelines, but it took him just too long. I think that's just being a little nervous on opening day and rolling out a little too deep to get that ball delivered on time.
And that will force a 4th down punt. Ready to punt the ball is Micah Knorr. He left foots it high. Nicely done. Here is Peter Warwick. He's going to let it hit, and it caroms into the end zone. Warwick was one of the great punt returners in the history of college football at Florida State. One of the reasons he was the number 4 pick overall in the draft when he came out 4 years ago.
Sponsored by T-Mobile. Get more minutes, more features, more service. And by Coca-Cola. Let's make it real.
Don Criqui with Steve Tasker back at Cincinnati. Marvin Lewis, his first game as a head coach in the NFL. He sees his Bengals down 3-0. Broncos getting their points on a 51-yard field goal by Jason Elam. Now with John Kitna at quarterback, the Bengals try again, looking for a timing throw. He dumps it off over the middle, and Dillon gets very little as the Broncos have everything covered, as we'll take a look now at a defensive package.
Well, the Bengals told us they've got to match Denver's intensity. They knew Denver was going to come out very fast, very hard emotionally, and just as of now, that's showing through. Denver has stifled everything that the Bengals have tried to do. And if the Bengals just want to weather this storm and make sure they can come in the 4th quarter with a chance to win.
Now the whistle blows before the snap of the ball. Yeah, that's one of the things that John Kitna said to us. We asked him for keys of the game when we talked to him on Friday at practice, and he said, number 1, we have to match their intensity.
5 yards, still 2nd down.
Broncos with a very unusual season a year ago. Started 6-2 and looked like they were headed back to the Super Bowl. And then came a cropper in the 2nd half, and nobody really has a reason. Mike Shanahan said that last year was inexcusable. He said it was his most disappointing season. A lot of hard work has been put in to get this team ready. And early on, the Broncos are looking ready as Kitna drops to throw. They're giving him some time, but he's running out of it. And Kitna, who's had a big fumbling problem, holds on to the ball. Burt Berry was in there on him. Leslie Frazier, who is the defensive coordinator now for Cincinnati.
And this is the key to being a good NFL football team. If you can get pressure with just 4 guys rushing, you've got a chance. And you see there, Burt Berry gets in finally, plus the rest of them pile on top. If you can get pressure with 4 guys, you can win a Super Bowl. You ask the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's what everybody points to. 4-man rush, 7 guys to cover all the receivers. You got a chance in every game.
That's what Shanahan was talking about yesterday. He said Tampa Bay only rushed 4 against the Raiders, dominated them. Here's a flat throw and incomplete as Kitna is off target, and the pressure from the defensive front of the Broncos has a lot to do with that. So some early boos that start to wind their way down from the upper reaches of Brown Stadium. They've known disappointment here in Cincinnati since the days of the jungle back in the 80s, and they were one of the best teams in the NFL. Now the Bengals must punt the ball from deep in their own end as Delta O'Neal standing back at the 38-yard line of the Broncos. Nick Harris, the punter, a 3-year veteran out of Cal, hits a high punt. O'Neal comes up on it. He's got open field to run. Cutting back, they set up a return right. O'Neal cutting back, and the special teams play, which has been a problem for the Bengals in the preseason, allows him about a 15-yard return down to the 42-yard line. So Jake and the Broncos offense gets good field position to start this drive. It is not too late to sign up for NFL.com fantasy football. Just log on to NFL.com or America Online, enter keyword NFL.com and sign up today. As now the Broncos start this drive from the 46-yard line of Cincinnati. Plummer and Hands off, and Portis just rockets through a gap and breaks it for a 10-yard gain and a first down into the right side of the Bengal defense.
Let me tell you, Don, that'll give you an idea of why that guy had 1,500 yards. There was nothing but a crack in the defense, and watch how fast, when he makes his decision, watch how fast he gets through there. Right there, he sees it and is back up between the defenders, right inside the defensive back. If that guy doesn't trip him up, he's gone.
It's a guy, in addition to his 1,500 yards rushing, scored 17 touchdowns as a rookie, 15 of them rushing. 2 on receptions. They go right back to the man in the orange shoes, and he makes more yardage for the Broncos. Inside the 30 and down to the 28-yard line. A gain of 7 yards on the play for Clinton Portis.
Nothing is more demoralizing than standing on the sidelines and watching your defense get run on. Not being able to defend the run is the most demoralizing thing you can stand there and watch as a team, because you are defenseless. Running is the most simple and basic thing you can do in football, and if you can't stop the other team from doing it, you have no chance.
See those rushing numbers last year. Ricky Williams, the guy from the Dolphins, who led the way with 1,800 plus. Right now there's a timeout on the field with the Broncos leading the Bengals 3-0.
He's in the pocket. Go.
Second quarter, 3-0 Broncos. Don Criqui with Steve Tasker. Marvin Lewis told us when we met with him that teams and players are measured by their ability to overcome adversity. He's got a little early adversity to overcome because the Broncos are dominating this game right now, Steve.
Well, this Bengals team, I think one of the top teams in the NFL for turnover this year. 41% of their players are brand new. You don't go 2-14 with good players, and Marvin Lewis found that out.
Pitch back to Portis. Cutting back into the heart of the defense on second and short. He looks to have a first down to the 26-yard line. Justin Smith, a very good, fast defensive end from Missouri. 90 ran him down.
You know, one of the things, Don, about this Bengals organization is you talk about the changes they have made. And Justin Smith, one of the guys there that has a fast motor, always plays hard. And in years past, you couldn't say that about all the Cincinnati Bengals. You come in, a lot of people, blame Mike Brown. They blame the coaching staff. But let me tell you, Don, if you're going to give the players credit when you have a great team, give them the blame when you go 2-14. And the Bengals players from a year ago and years before deserve a lot of the blame. It wasn't all upstairs.
And they got the blame. It was ongoing here. Here is another reverse. And again, the Bengals are unable to cut off the corner angle, and running with the ball is Rod Smith. Rogers Beckett runs him out of bounds, but it's a 12-yard gain. Portis has been a feature guy on the game plan, though.
Yeah, it's not always just the young guys like Ashley Lally who can get that end around. The old guys can come around and make some hay, too. Rod Smith turns the corner, and I'll tell you what, when you get on that and the defense is caught off guard, it's a great feeling turning up that sideline and not seeing anything but green grass, Don. And they don't call that play unless they know it's going to work in previous plays. They've seen guys over pursue.
Well, it's been working. Portis in the game has 10 touches for 64 total yards running and receiving as he gets the ball on another carry. A first down run down to the 11 as the Broncos are now challenging for the first touchdown of the game.
The Broncos struggled in the red area a year ago. Once they get down into scoring area, which is inside the 20 or the 15-yard line, they really struggled a year ago. And the thing that the good teams do that a lot of teams don't is when they do get down close, Don, they run the football. They can run it effectively, and that opens up the passing game because the field shrinks. The defense has to pack it in more and more, and then you can find creases to throw it.
Well, the biggest problem with the Broncos was scoring. They gave up more points than any team in the NFL last season, 456. A second down throw, and the timing is off. Ashley Lee and Jake were on different pages there.
Yeah, Tony Williams came up and flashed right in Jake Plummer's face. And I think that was a little scar tissue from being an Arizona quarterback. He saw that coming and thought, well, here it comes again, and just got rid of it without taking that extra split second to get rid of it. You see there, he just winged it out there without taking a step and setting up his receiver. That's a guy who's just not used to having that extra split second that you need.
The interception has been the nemesis of the career of Jake Plummer. But he's had some great moments also. Now on third down, he hands off, and Portis runs and gets a first down inside the 5-yard line. Great offensive line blocking by the Broncos, a 9-yard gain. and they have it first and goal.
Don, everybody did it right on this one. The offensive line dominated. Watch Ed McCaffrey come in right there and block the safety that gives him that extra push to get the first down. Don, when you're on a good team, everybody plays hard because everybody's unselfish, and that's one of the things that stood out when we talked to these players. Nobody talked about me this, me that. Everybody talked about the success of the team and the teammates, and that's the difference.
Now let's see if it's Portis making the difference as he takes the ball, gets down close, touchdown Broncos. So Marvin Lewis talked about handling adversity, and the adversity is building for the Bengals as they're down 9-0 with the extra point coming up.
And this is just a solid right up the middle run by Clinton Portis right off the right side. You see the offensive line. One of the things this Denver line does is moves very well laterally, even in tight spots. And it gives the running back a chance to look and find a spot to run, and that's just keeping his balance, pushing it in. You see there Dan Neal in the end zone leading him right in for the touchdown.
Elam, an automatic guy on extra points. He set an NFL record with 371 consecutive extra points. Hits one. Broncos have taken a 10-0 lead, and Elam will kick off when we come back to Cincinnati.
More, if you're Mike Shanahan, you're getting a chance to work Jake Plummer into the system very, very slowly. He hasn't had to carry the load at all. Clinton Portis has done it all, and that's been just the way they game planned it.
And so far, Dillon has not been a factor in this game as he was in the last meeting in 2000. Here is Brandon Bennett breaking a gap and getting out to the 29-yard line. And right now, the Bengals need big plays, and they need them from their quarterback, John Kitna. Coming up, the Nextel halftime report. Join Jim, Dan, Deanne, and Boomer for all of today's scores and highlights, plus a preview of the U.S. Open men's final between Andy Roddick and Juan Carlos Ferrero. It's all coming up on the Nextel halftime report.
You know, Don, we've said some things about the Bengals, and Marvin Lewis has done a lot of good things here in Cincinnati, but let's face it, he's got a lot of work to do, and it's how they handle games like this when they're down early that's going to be the difference.
Here's the throw in the flat. There is Peter Warwick, who's got many moves. He's going to need them all to get out of this jam, and he cannot solve the Broncos defense as he loses 5 yards on the play.
That's one thing that has haunted Peter Warwick his entire career in the NFL. In college, he could do that because he was better than everybody else on the field. It doesn't work in the National Football League. His style is such that when he gets the football and wants to make a cut, he makes a big, hard stick move, which brings him almost to a complete stop. And when you stop on a football field, everybody's running faster than you are, including the goalposts. The violence comes in a hurry, and when he makes cuts like that, it closes the gap.
Even the goalposts can come after you. I guess if you run into him. Here is a handoff now, and Dillon finally breaks something on a 2nd down and 14 play. He is ahead close to the 34-yard line, but there is a penalty marker down, and the signals against the Bengals.
Now you look at this Cincinnati team, they have drafted high for 12 years.
Holding, 63 offense, 10 yards, repeat 2nd down.
They have had a lot of picks high in the 1st round as a team that has had their history you'd expect. And these are some of the guys they've done. Achilles Smith, no. Rainer, gone. Wilkinson's playing for another team, gone. All those guys, and those were high 1st round draft picks. They are all gone, and that will put a team in the position that the Bengals have been in for over a decade.
A lot of number 2 of those were number 1s who didn't work out. Kajana Carter, injuries bothered him, and Big Daddy Wilkinson. Another one, 1st pick overall. Here's a throw downfield, and is it intercepted? I think it is. And it is picked off. It looked like Kelly Herndon came up with the ball. 2nd-year defensive back out of Toledo with a lot of family here watching today. And a huge play by Herndon, and so far Kitna and the Bengal offense have been absolutely unable to attack this Bronco defense. Early on, it's the new Bengals, but the same old story. There is Kelly Herndon, who just came up with a big play, his 2nd career interception, stopping early on another Bengal drive, and now good field position again for the Broncos. Starting at the 39-yard line of Cincinnati. Tip ball, it's right back the other way, and on the run is linebacker linebacker Brian Simmons, one of the fastest linebackers in this conference. And so on consecutive plays, balls are intercepted. Jake gets his first of the season, and an 11-yard return by Simmons.
And if you're smart, you're Mike Shanahan, you say, hey, Jake, don't worry about it. That ball got tipped. That's not your fault. You went to the right spot, and he did. He had his tight end right open, right in the right spot. As he lets it go, it's tipped right there.
Whose fault is it?
Carl Powell. That's the offensive lineman. You got to get into the guy's chest. You got to punch him in the stomach and get his arms down. And in that play, he didn't get it done. You see there, the offensive lineman tried to cut him. That's too late. You got to hit him in the stomach and get his arms down. Otherwise, your quarterback gets picked.
Sometimes there's a rule even against that solar plexus punch, Steve.
Yeah, there's rules against a lot of stuff there, Don.
You were a nasty one in your day.
I mean,
7 Pro Bowls, though.
You fight fire with fire.
First down and 10. Here's a pitch back. And Corey Dillon, boy, they're coming after him. I tell you, we met with Al Wilson last night. And he almost couldn't wait to play this game. He's still embarrassed by that huge day 3 years ago when Dillon ripped the Broncos for the record yardage.
See, I think it's a mistake by the Bengals. If you're at home in your opener, you're trailing by 10 in the first quarter, or the second quarter, and you get a turnover of that magnitude. I mean, you got to go for it. Come back. Their defense is back on the field. Go for the long one. Hurt them now.
Go for Bronco defense is going for it right now. They send blitzers. Kitten gets time. They pick it up, and the ball is tipped and almost intercepted again. And you have to realize now there's a player on the bench at Cincinnati who everybody by acclamation in this league after seeing him in the preseason thinks is going to be great, and that is quarterback Carson Palmer.
Now that fan will give you an idea of what they're thinking. They give him the outside to Kitten.
Carson Palmer, the Heisman Trophy winner from Southern California, the #1 pick in the last draft, goes to Cincinnati. In the preseason, he had some interception problems, but his overall quarterback rating was 90, just under 90. And Marvin Lewis told us, when will he be in there? As soon as he's the best option to win. Well, Kitten is doing nothing today, but getting in trouble. Getting on the run, looking for somebody to go to. Penalty markers are down as he throws the ball completed, but it very well be a penalty against the offense. We'll see.
I think it's going to be an illegal man down the field, Don. Kitten was running for his life, and the offensive lineman went down to block for him, and it was too late. He stayed behind the line of scrimmage and gave it a toss.
Obviously, Steve, you don't want to, jettison your game plan and your starting quarterback.
An illegal shift on the offense.
And go to a rookie.
A man in motion as another man makes a shift, never resetting. 5 yards, replay, third down.
Well, you said it, Don. Their third quarterback, Carson Palmer, anybody you talk to in the organization, we know some people in it, they say they cannot believe, and this includes John Kitten saying this, they've never seen a guy come into the league that talented. This guy has got everything, and the Bengals are going to make sure that when he's the best option, he's going to get in there, but they're not going to just throw him in there to let him make mistakes and lose confidence.
Now a third and long play. Kitten stands in, throws downfield, has a guy. A beautifully executed play. Chad Johnson beats the defense, and on 3rd and 14, the Bengals hit their first big play, a 23-yard gain.
Well, it's no surprise that when the offense has done something good early in the game, it has been Chad Johnson that's done it. This guy is a hard worker. He wants to be good. Don, it sounds like obvious, but that's not the case with everybody. He is doing the little things, working hard, learning this game, talking to his quarterbacks. Every small thing you can do, a la Jerry Rice, he's trying to do it to get better. He wants to be great, and that's a big step for a young receiver.
Well, he had a great second season a year ago. And now to reverse. Peter Warwick is on the run, putting on moves, and Warwick dances all the way down to the 22-yard line. So the turnover, the interception of the tip ball by the Bengals apparently has ignited this offense as they get on consecutive plays, 23 yards on the pass, and now 13 yards on Warwick's run.
And as the Bengals are starting to have some success here, the thing I noticed, Don, it's fast. Every play comes now. They're in, they're out of the huddle. They have a plan. They're getting the football to different guys. And you see there, that's what I was talking about with Warwick. He made that huge stop to try and make that cut, and the pursuit caught up to him. Don't stop to make a cut, just run.
Al Wilson ran him down, but now the Bengals mounting a challenge. Down 10-0. Dillon turning wide. And And he turns the corner, but the Broncos continue to do excellent work defending this runner.
Well, the Broncos have such good linebackers, Don. Those guys can run. They are fast. But the problem is, once you get there, you've got that guy to tackle. Corey Dillon is not an easy guy to tackle. You need some help sometimes, and he is fast. He is very slippery. You can say what you want. He does not move side to side, but it seems like when guys try to tackle him, they slide from his shoulder pads to his ankles very quickly, and he gets out of it. I've never seen anybody break more tackles than Corey Dillon.
And he loves to take on tacklers, as he told us. His straight-ahead runs are what he likes. Here's a timing throw and a connection. This is Peter Warrick putting on a dancing move, and Warrick dives down to the 5-yard line. He has a gain of 15 yards and a first down.
Well, here's something you have not seen the Bengals do in a long, long time, Don. Respond. They've been pushed around for a quarter and a half, and now they're putting something together that makes them feel like they've got a chance and they're in this football game. They're spreading it around. They're doing some positive things. Kitna is finally finding some receivers, and he's getting time to throw it. And that's what Marvin Lewis desperately wanted to see. He wanted to see his guys overcome adversity, and they're in the midst of it.
Well, that interception kind of turned the momentum of this game, or more than kind of turned it. Now, can they take it in? Here's Kitna rolling out, makes the throw, and connection down to the 3-yard line to Warrick. So a lot of play calling there, a lot of execution involved in a low thrown ball, but it does advance the ball about 4 yards. And they're going to have 2nd and goal from the 3.
A moment ago when the Broncos were at the other end of the field going in, you and I both discussed, and I told you, a great team in the red area is able to run the football. Now, the Bengals have thrown it twice and done some reverses. We'll see what they do now when the chips are down inside the 5.
2nd and goal. Run it they do. This is Dillon, and again, the Broncos slam the door on Corey Dillon, the man who embarrassed him 3 years ago, doing virtually nothing today running the ball.
That's Bertrand Berry knifing right through, blowing up that play, and that's the key thing in the goal line, Don. If you want to stop the run, get in their backfield. And once again, the defensive line of the Broncos is doing an outstanding job. On surefire rundowns, they're getting into the backfield. On surefire pass downs, they're chasing Kitna all over the yard.
Well, so far, Dillon has run the ball 10 times, averaging 2.4 yards a carry. The last time they played, he averaged 12.6 yards a carry. This is a big down. 3rd down. Kitna, calling his own number, fumbles the ball. It's recovered by a teammate at the 3-yard line. Kitna, they say the problem with him handling the ball is he has small hands. But he fumbles the ball. That's been a very big problem during his career. A lot of fumbles.
And that was a broken play. John Kitna had no option. He didn't know what he was going to do with the football. He turned around and expected somebody to be there to hand it to, and they weren't. And watch there. You know, that's a great sideline shot, because you know what? It shows everybody on the team is into it. The guys sitting there getting drinks of water. Everybody's into it. They're all in it together.
But now let's see if they can hit the field goal. Snap and set down are good, and so is the kick. But there is a penalty marker down.
Prior to the snap, false start, 65 offense, 5 yards.
Eric Steinbach, the rookie left guard, is called for a false start.
Don, we mentioned it earlier. The last preseason game that Marvin Lewis and the Cincinnati Bengals played was in Indianapolis, and it was an absolute fiasco for their field goal team.
Yeah, they really had trouble just holding the snap.
They couldn't get the ball down, and it was awful.
The snaps are all good. Brett St. Louis is one of the best. It's Harris who had the problem. He said he's going to wear gloves today. He's got them on. Again, they get the snap and set down. And the second try, the first was a warm-up, apparently, is now a 26-yarder that's good. So in a sense, a victory for the Bronco defense. They kept him out of the end zone on a 1st and goal from inside the 6. But it is a field goal for the Bengals.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Once Upon a Time in Mexico, in theaters September 12th, and by Smirnoff Ice Triple Black Premium Malt Beverage, triple filtered for a crisp, clean bite.
The Bengals get a field goal from 26 yards out, and they now are on the board, trailing the Broncos 10-3. Chris Cole is now back deep. Skimming kick that Cole will take at the goal line. He's across the 20. An open gap, and Cole is all the way out to the 33-yard line. So it's going to be 1st and 10 there for the Denver Broncos. Fridays this fall on CBS, when FBI agents go undercover, the handler is the man who trains them, creates their identities, and controls their every move. Joe Pantoliano stars in The Handler. Series premiere is Friday, September 26th, here on CBS. One of the Sopranos. Joe Pantoliano.
Looks like he's got his head on straight.
Sopranos, you can lose your head. Not figuratively. Literally. Here's a throw downfield up Shannon Sharp. What a beautifully thrown ball by Plummer. As they come right out, gunning the ball downfield. A 22-yard gain to the greatest receiving tight end in football history.
Right up the inside of the numbers. He looks at the safety. You saw his eyes way down the field, and wherever that's safety, that's Manuel. Wherever he is, if he's outside, he'll break to the inside. If he's inside, he'll hook up or break to the outside. And both the quarterback and the receiver see the same thing. And Shannon Sharp's been doing that for an awfully long time. He may be the best guy to ever play his position, Don. He certainly is in the modern era.
Well, 754 career receptions, almost 100 more than the next tight end, Ozzie Newsome. Here is Jake running, and Jake does the right thing and scampers out of bounds. He got a couple of yards. But that's all part of this tightly knit, well-controlled game plan. If nothing's out there and you're rolling out, get out of bounds. Don't throw the ball.
One of the things that gets lost in this, Don, Jake Plummer went out there and he did all right. I mean, he got a yard or two. His offensive linemen love him for that, because the rule says if the quarterback goes out of bounds and runs out even a foot behind the line of scrimmage, it's a sack. And his offensive linemen are trying not to give up sacks.
Yeah.
They love a quarter. Just get an inch. Just do something. And Jake Plummer did that. You saw him leap forward for that extra yard. Believe me, his offensive linemen will love him if he does that all year.
Well, one of the big things Jake has going for him is that this team has embraced him. He's a team guy. They liken him to Elway that way. John Elway, they said, loved to be around the training center, loved to be around the guys, and players all responded to him on the field, and they think hopefully that's going to happen with Jake. So far, so good for the Broncos on opening day. We're back. Don Criqui with Steve Tasker. 2 minutes to play in the first half. Denver leading the Bengals 10-3. Talked about John Elway. There'll be a great announcement for Elway and his many fans. I think it's on February 3rd, the day before the next Super Bowl in Houston, when he'll be announced as a first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer. And joining him will be Barry Sanders as a first ballot Hall of Famer. We're back as we come into the final 2 minutes of the first half.
You know, and it's still at the point, Don, where you see the Denver Broncos, you do think of John Elway, and there you see Jake Plummer, and he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I got to congratulate you. My guy, Don Criqui, the winner of the Pete Rozelle Broadcast Excellence in the NFL, had them enthralled in Canton this year. You did a great job. Congratulations. What an honor.
Thank you very much, Steve. It was a great honor to get the Rozelle Award, the Hall of Fame. And now a diving run by Rod Smith as he gets down to the 31-yard line. Not be going overboard in the Hall of Fame, but you were I guess a finalist last year.
Well, I was
as a first-year eligible.
Well, I'm not John Elway, believe me. I'm not a slam.
Well, there's nobody else is John Elway.
There's only one of him, and I think Denver fans are finding that out finally. But
that's like they talk about Michael Vick might be the next John Elway. Hey, be great, not good, great for 12 years, and we'll start talking about it.
That's right.
Handoff to Portis. Look at this. Clinton Portis busting open the Bengal defense and taking it inside the 10-yard line. How about the Bills leading the Patriots 21-0? Kansas City routing San Diego.
Don, when Clinton Portis gets this handoff and sees where he wants to go, it's over. You see that once again, the safety coming up to make the play just can't get there. That's why the Bengals defense is not what it could be, because there are guys that just aren't in position to make the tackle. The first guy to the ball doesn't make the tackle. In fact, Clinton Portis makes them miss completely.
Oh, this Portis is just tremendous, but he is so in sync with his blockers, and now Portis heading into the end zone for a second time. So the Bengals get a field goal, but very quickly, the Broncos with all their precision. What line blocking. This team is so well coached.
Don, Mike Shanahan does everything right. Now sometimes, like last year, you get off to a good start and it doesn't work out.
But it's his belief, and I agree with him, when you do everything right to the best of your abilities, sooner or later it's going to pay off. And in games like this, when you're on the road on opening day, you get a bunch of guys, your team's completely healthy, it does show up.
The extra point hit up, and as always, good when it's off the foot of Jason Elam. And so the Broncos build their lead. They'll be coming back with their kickoff in a moment. His counterpart, Corey Dillon, 10 carries, 24 yards. Right now, Dillon is not a big option in the offense. They've got to throw the ball and try to get back in this.
Yeah, with 1:13 left in the half, you've got to take some chances if you're Cincinnati to get back in the game.
The kickoff comes down to Brandon Bennett. 20. And he gets out to the 26-yard line. A ball on the field, and the Broncos have it. That might be Herndon again that got in there. He's checking those guys off the bottom of the pile. That's 57 getting up. Ja'Shawn Sykes. Marvin Lewis can't be happy with this.
With all the good things that have happened in the offseason for the Bengals, now reality is going to set in, and you think it is really difficult to win games in the National Football League, and that ball was out immediately. And I think Sykes caused the fumble as well as recovering it. He was the second guy in on the tackle and then picked it up.
Now, Steve, you have to worry about the psyche of the Bengals. I mean, are they just going to come apart?
Well, we said it in the open, Don. This is a team that's fragile. Yeah, they're doing things different. Now they're getting feedback from guys who have been in the playoffs. Marvin Lewis brought in a number of guys who have been in the Super Bowl, who've been in the playoffs, who've been in winning organizations, and they're telling these players on the Bengals who've been there that this is the way it's done now in the NFL, and they're teaching them how to win. But you know what? Teaching them and learning it are two different things.
Well, Jerry Austin's going to check it. It's under review now. As you know, most calls are not overturned because there has to be indisputable evidence that the call on the field was wrong. Ball is out. Is his knee down?
I don't think so.
Get some great looks here.
Ruben Drones is the first guy in there. Watch here. Right there. Watch as he blows up the back, pushes him back, and then spies the receiver or the return man, gets inside into the hole, and right there, helmet on football, right in the hole.
They won't overturn it. It'll be Broncos ball.
Fumble as ruled on the field.
Yeah, that was clearly.
Yeah, they got it right.
Well, I guess you had to take a chance if you're the Bengals and hope something would happen where you'd keep the ball. So Mike Shanahan has his team really humming now.
Yeah, you got it. It's inside 2 minutes, and so it's reviewed from upstairs, and it was the right call. They got it right the first time.
They go in up 24-3. The Bengals are probably gone for this day. Here is a reverse again. They've been doing this all day, and now they get it to Rod Smith cutting back. Poor tackling, or is it great running by Rod Smith, who's not done until he's inside the 25-yard line. And now they're just openly booing the Bengals effort.
Don, you can see it. This is how fragile the optimism is here in Cincinnati. And that's a good play call. Rod Smith was going to throw that deep. A reverse pass to the wide receiver is a perfect call in that situation, because you want to get the touchdown, you want to put the nail in the coffin, you want to go in with a huge lead, and that's exactly what we said earlier on this game. The Broncos wanted to come out and punch the Bengals in the mouth, figuratively speaking, and make them quit. And it looks like at this point, with 54 seconds, they're on the verge of doing it.
I'll tell you one thing, the Broncos, this is a good-looking football team.
Well, this is a team that started out 6-2 last year, had like one of the top offenses in the league. Their defense was number 6 overall, and they didn't go to the playoffs, and they got a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, Wilson said everybody looks for reasons. We lost our focus. It's the only thing he can put it down. He said in this summer camp, he said we were really hard on each other. It's a very motivated team. Again, an open backfield for Jake Plummer on 2nd down and 4. Jake's on the run. And he is down to the 21-yard line. Might have gotten a couple. Taken down by Artrell Hawkins.
And the Broncos will take a quick timeout. It's a smart move.
So there's going to be a timeout on the field. 44 seconds to go in the first half. Jake Plummer now with Portis in his backfield. Needing just over a yard. Here's a blitz. Portis runs. He's got the yard. He's got more. And he's not done till he's to the 15-yard line. But they have to go into alignment quickly with no timeouts.
There's 34 seconds left. And this is something you work on during training camp. At the end of training camp, you get in some specific plays. You'll call plays in the line or call 2 plays in the huddle.
Watch for a pass to him. Oh, he spikes the ball. Good move by Jake Plummer as he downs the ball. That's one way you can get a stoppage of the clock with 25 seconds left to play. And in the NFL, it's amazing how many plays these guys can work with 25 seconds.
Yeah, well, Don, you and I were talking during the break that today, and it's become obvious, the Bengals have done some good things.